We had school buses, named Scholars Bus. It's called Scholars Bus. And we entered that bus with one kobo. In those days, 1 penny. No, there was no kobo then. It was pence, pounds, shillings, and pence that we used to spend at that time. So we spend 1 kobo to enter the bus. And the bus does not carry any other person except students from one location to the other.
The Zapas bus was the most popular and very convenient, very available, affordable too, and is very widespread. The base is at Tinombu, was the main bus stop, but then you have bus stops coming all the way to Obalende and going all the way to Idioro, with bus stops at Ebichemeta Yaba, Alagomiji Yaba, and then it goes all the way to Idioro. It does not pass Idioro. But beyond that, you have taxis, which were again were also cheap in those days.
Taxis were the yellow cabs, yellow, black and white one. And then you have the buses, the Molues and the Danfos, as you call it. That was it.
I remember when I used to go to the market with my mom. My mom used to really buy things from everywhere. She would go to Ekpe to buy fish from Festac. She would go to Alabarago to buy goat meat. She just had to go. She couldn't buy from anywhere. She just had to go to those markets. So I used to follow her. We used to go in either the bigger Danfos then or the Molues.
I saw a bit of Bolekaja. Danfo, Molu and Bolekaja, and then taxis.
Bolekaja is a converted Bedford lorry. The back is made of wooden frame, and it was a rectangular shaped something. So people sit in rows. There were no single chairs. There were benches inside those buses, and people sit and close together. They could carry so many people, maybe up to 40 at any given time.
In those days, the buses that we have then was the JN Zapas, Zapas bus. That was the bus that we had in Lagos then. I remember when we enter bus in those days, we pay half price by just bending down. We bend down in the bus. And there used to be Scholars Bus. For Scholar Bus, we pay 1 penny to anywhere we want to go in Lagos in those days. But anytime the Scholars Bus was not there, we enter the normal JN Zapas bus, and when we enter, they tell us to bend down. So we bend down in the bus, and we pay half price. Lagos was beautiful, and Mushin, where I was living, was a very crowded place, and life in Lagos was wonderful. The popular places that we used to go in those days, Kingsway stores. What we have in today modern day the ShopRites then was not there, but we have Kingsway. Kingsway was something like what ShopRite is today. It's a departmental store that you have everything. You have lifts, you have everything was at Kingsway. You can buy snacks, you can buy food, and bicycles happen to be one of the means of transport.
You could go there were people who traded in that, they will buy bicycles. So long as you belong to the area and they can identify, you can go in there, take a bike, rent for the day or for hours, pay for it, and take it off. When you finish, you bring it back to them. I know they have that in different areas of Lagos, where you can pick up bicycle, ride for the whole day, bring it back in. You can even have it overnight, so long as you are ready to pay and they know you. Once they know you, or you can bring somebody they know, you can rent from them, take it away. And it was quite safe to ride around Lagos then too. There weren't too many cars.
They had proper conductors with uniforms sitting down in their little cage, and they would issue out tickets. You know, when you paid 3 kobo or 5 kobo, they would spin it around and then cut out a ticket for you. Yeah, we grew up with that kind of bus. We had those buses in the majority, the LSTC or LMTS buses.
Then later, Benson Transport Service. Then Oshinowo, Elias. Those are the buses that are running. That transportation is fantastic, but they always control it. You have to line up. You have to line up, and they control it. When it is time, you have to move. If it is 5 minutes, you are given only 5 minutes to load. After 5 minutes, they blow whistle. Pop! You move. No excuses.
And everybody had cars, and because there was so much traffic, they were building the Eco Bridge. There was so much. Sometimes it will take 4 hours, 5 hours to go from Lagos to Apapa. If you think traffic is bad today, you should have been in Lagos in the late 60s, early 70s, when all these bridges were being built. It was a nightmare. Some people will get to Apapa walking before their car gets to the destination. It was wild times when it comes to traffic. And because of that traffic, there was a new system that was introduced. I don't know if somebody told you, odd and even cars. So on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you can use odd numbered cars. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you can only use even cars. So instead of somebody having 1 car, now he has to have 2 cars. So it increased also the availability of cars. You needed 2 cars to be able to communicate.
The railway corporation was very active then.
Even at a time I took train from Ido terminus to Zaria. And it took almost 2 days to get to Zaria. Because every stop, every town, they will stop. Some people will, alight, and some people will board until we get to Zaria. And that gives me opportunity to know most of those areas.
They had trains that kept to time for those who prefer trains. So you could have train service from Iju. There was a station at Iju. I think it's still there. I believe it's still there. All the way from there to as far as Ido. So you could just take 1 train all the way, and it was not expensive. It was probably cheaper than taking a bus. Going by train, it's cheaper.
And you have railway train, which they are using that time. You see a lot of people, they hang their bicycle in the train coming all the way from Idogo down to railway Ido. So those are the means of transport we have. And we quite enjoy it.
The only means of transport between Ikorodu and Lagos was through the Ebute Ikorodu, the beach at Ikorodu here. We have the engine boat by the man called Ricket, and another one by Owolowo. Those were the 2 engine boats, The others were the canoes, big canoes that will carry lot of goods from the beach, Ebute Ikorodu, to Ibutero. They will fly over the lagoon from late evening, like say from 9 o'clock till about 5 a.m. before they get to Ibutero. That used to be the means of transportation between Ikorodu and Lagos. But in 1948, they started the construction of Ikorodu-Lagos Road, which took a long while before it was ready. I remember in 1948, myself and my dad trekked all the way from Ikorodu to Yaba before we took a bus, J.N. Sapas in those days, which came back to be J&A Sapas later on, before we have other buses like Benson Bus Transport Service or Shinowo Transport. But for a very long time, it was only J.N. Sapas that had buses in Lagos. But by around 1957-58, we were already having some Moolue, Bole Kaja from Ikorodu, when the road was already ready by that time. So having a good means of transport between Ikorodu and Lagos, 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 between Ikorodu and Lagos.
So automatically they are in quantum, and people are not as many as this. People are not as many as these. In one street, you can see only 4 cars in one full street. It is bicycle or motorcycle. And those people who are riding motorcycle in those days, they are senior service. So they are senior service. So bicycle too, they are senior teacher, principal for school. That when we collect bicycle from them, we shall be happy when we are taking it from them, taking it home. For the mere fact that your daddy releases his bicycle for you to push, it's equal to happiness. Not now when you are using Jeep, you are using Cherokee, or what do they call the Your life is so simple now. You are using elephant. What will I call it? The jet, the bomber. But we are satisfied with it. You are not envious. It is what you have, you use. You are not after anybody because somebody has become so, I want to be like him. No, you struggle to achieve. You don't even pray to have a lot of money that time. Because immediately you see some boys making money anyhow. It's either a robber or something doing something sinister.
At that particular time. And but again, some of us were not exposed too much to those public transport situations, you know. And I think that the biggest issue for the government is to be able to create a fully integrated transport system that is available for everybody. So, for the Molue, I entered Molue maybe once or twice in my entire, before they scrapped it, you know. The downfalls maybe once or twice as well. So for me, public transport wasn't the option, you know. So I didn't have much experience in that one.
Molue was very popular. It was the public transportation. It was part of the culture. It was part of the arts. It was very commonplace and known to be what is the. It was an icon for Lagos. I think it still is today, but it's more like a retro icon.
Growing up, it was bus, just the public, the bus. Growing up, there were no Okadas as at then. It was just bus. I know I got on a train once or twice. Yeah, but it was mostly down for buses growing up until Mara came and brought Keke Mara.
And there were buses, there were taxis. That's pretty much what I can remember.
There were buses, so the smaller buses and the big buses, we used to call them Molue then. Now they call them BRT, but it was Molue then. And I know there were trains, but I never got on the train. But I go on the bus. 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 I go on the bus, 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 I go on the bus.
Buses, mainly buses, and I don't know what they call it now. It's not a downfall. It's a squarish thing, but mainly it's for me going to Ikorodu. It's just by boat, which we go for festivals and things by my family house, so for festival and things. But when I'm going out, if I'm not walking to Yaba, I'll go by bus, public transport. And they were private, they were not government at that time. Benson Transport or Elias Transport, that's what we had in those days. The buses were like what America uses now as school buses. That was the shape of those buses.
At my time, Kai, what are they called then? There's Molwes, there's Dampos, there's LCTS buses, there's the ferry service we went on, all that. Public transport. Yes. There was Oshino when we were young, there were all kinds of things that were back then. I can't remember a lot. I have images, but there are all kinds of things.
Molwe, that's what we used for public transport back in the day. And you had to chase them to catch them, literally. You couldn't just wait at the bus stop in an orderly queue and get on it politely. You had to chase it down. And so we became like world-class athletes. It's not a surprise that a lot of gold medals and silver medals at the Olympics were won in that sort of period when the Molwe was, the fashionable form of transport in Lagos. I think when we got older, in my teenage years, we began to call them funky trains. You'd catch the funky train from Ikorodu to Lagos, just to make it sound hip, if you like. 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 If you like, 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 if you like.
Motorcycles were not as many. Bicycles, people were riding bicycles from, for instance, from Moshi to Lagos. They will leave for work, they leave in the morning and come back. And there was workers' train in those days then. And the railway terminus is in Edo. So when people enter railway, they will come down in Edo. And we trek over the Gata Bridge to Idumota, and from Idumota, and there's a Bolekaja, apart from JN Zapas bus run by the JN Zapas, which was later taken over by Lagos City Transport. They were the one who took over from JN Zapas. But apart from that bus, there was this we call it Bolekaja. Bolekaja is made from Austin, Bedford. They use wood to make a house at the back, and you have one row here, and 2 rows in the middle. And the Austin type, they will put seat, they put wood. When people sit in one line, they put another wood, another people will sit in them. They put another wood, that's what they set it. So those were another source of transport that was there. But apart from GN Sapas, there was Benson and Oshinowo. The transporters, they too were running bus services, Oshinowo and Benson. And Elias too was Elias Campus service. Those were the kind of transport that we had in Lagos in those days.
I think the only good thing about Lagos now is the communication system, that everybody could communicate.
We can now communicate even with US, London, internationally. The communication system is okay now.
In those days, to call abroad, it was a big deal. You had to call NITEL you have to have somebody there to give you a line to call abroad, otherwise you will not get a line. So communication was so difficult. From the business point of view, if you wanted to send a message, you used to have the telex machine in your office, and you would type the tape and pass the tape into the telex machine so that you can communicate with your banker or your supplier or so on. All this today, a phone call, an email, it's so amazing. It's much nicer, definitely. The thing that I think we miss the most is that people were closer to each other in those days than they are today. Maybe because there was no big, you didn't have that type of TVs like the STV or something where you have to sit home. People will communicate. You didn't have the cellular to communicate to each other over the phone. People used to visit each other.
There was more friendship. There was a lot of conviviality. People related more easily. Neighbors strolled in and out of each other's homes. Now we have fences everywhere and high gates, and people can't just walk in and out,
But not only in Lagos, this is in the whole world. But maybe we miss it more here because your environment in Nigeria is your house. You entertain in your house. You don't go out as much as you do when you are in Europe. Like when you are here, you don't feel the urge of going out. So that social life that existed in those days, it does not exist now. And the friendship, the closeness that we used to have in those days, we don't have it anymore.
Lagos was peaceful then. There was no insecurity that time. We can walk all the way from Laviaji to Idumota, and nobody will embarrass you. We will leave Laviaji to go to Obalende. Obalende, where Elelede, the grandmother of my wife, we used to go and meet them there. It's like 24 hours that time. Lagos was like 24/7. But now nobody will just leave home if you are not sure of yourself, and your parents will not even allow you to just walk anyhow in the streets of Lagos. You have to exercise precaution. So the insecurity is the main one that is affecting Lagos. Apart from that, there has been a tremendous growth, development. Eko used to be just a city, but now we can say Lagos is now a mega city. And if you don't know Babish, Morocco, if you know Morocco that time, and you left Lagos knowing Morocco, and now you are going there, you will never know where you are. It has been turned to something else, and that is where we have Lagos Atlantic City, and a lot of development. And there is value in Lagos. Economic value is now in Lagos.
In a lot of ways, Lagos is better, even though I'm nostalgic about certain things. But in terms of development, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of expansion, in terms of beauty, being beautified and all that, I think Lagos is kind of better now. Yes, but the Lagos of old was calmer.
Lagos today is noisy. That's what I miss most. I miss the fact that I can't send my kids to buy something from down the road without watching them. I can't even do it. I miss the fact that, there's just a lot of noise everywhere. So I think overpopulation is really a big thing, and insecurity has really grown. But one thing that is better, Lagos today, I think it's the advent of the internet and, the fact that you can communicate, communications generally, you can communicate a lot, because then it was really, for me, that I, like to have my friends around a lot. It was a big deal. I had to either go to somebody's house to use all those dial-up phones. So one good thing is communications.
Development has come now. Lagos is upside down. Lagos is upside down. May my dear uncle, so rest in peace, Chief Rashid Badamasi, used to call it organized chaos. Lagos is a town of organized chaos. There's no better definition for Lagos. Chaotic in an organized way.
I quite agree with that. The development so far when I came to Lagos,
from when I came to Lagos and today is something else. I can take, it will take me just 5 minutes to move from end to end.
Correct.
Then.
Correct.
And today
Correct.
it will take me close to about
10 hours.
Hours.
Correct.
And in between those hours, you've spoken 3 or 4 different, languages out of stress.
I like that. You spoken broken English, Yoruba, Igbo,
and if you have your
Biri,
if you have your son or daughter in India, they say, Daddy, what have you just said? He said, no, my son, just.
Are you speaking in tongues?
Well, the more roads, interconnecting roads, that's a major difference. The more neighborhoods, because you can imagine Lekki never existed at one point in time. Now the entire Lagos is about probably Lekki. So that was never there. And if you had to describe, at one point in time, I had to tell people that even though it's almost still the same thing, that from VI to Lekki is like another travel experience. But before then, it looked like a different state from VI to Lekki. But now, the roads are shortening, so within 10, 15, 20 minutes, you can get to Lekki from VI. So that is a significant difference from how it is. There are more roads. The third mainland bridge came up after a certain point in time. And that again is the only major infrastructure because Qatar Bridge was there, Echo Bridge was there at that particular point. So third mainland is the only major infrastructure since then, which is very poor because they could have connected more areas since then, which would have done a lot more for the state. But thinking of it now, I mean, from when the Qatar Bridge was done to date, that's the only major. No other expansive road. No, the Badagry end not connected. The Ikorodu end, well, that was just recently done to make it pliable and anybody can go to Ikorodu easily. And we have to say that is the best road in Lagos now, Ikorodu Express or whatever they call it. So the significant changes are there are more neighborhoods, but not much infrastructure has been added into the place. It's better for the economy, but worse because there's not enough infrastructure to take care of these people. There's not. But the major difference is that there's so much more people in Lagos compared to them.
There's a lot of hustle and bustle in Lagos. Everybody seems to have pushed into Lagos, and I guess because of the numbers, there seems to be a commerce going everywhere. It's interesting because Lagos is a very advanced thinking economy on its own, and there's the tech community has definitely blown up. It's a hub for African startups. I think perhaps people are a bit less patient. There's a bit more noise. So it's two things, but it's sort of together.
I'm looking at Lagos State as a child. Now as an adult, I'm looking at Lagos State as the opportunities it presents. So I wasn't an adult growing up, so I wouldn't know whether economically it's better now, in the sense that the opportunities are there. But growing up and comparing the way my kids live now in the same Lagos with the way I was, the only thing I say is the security changed. Nothing, we try to bring out fun for our kids, because growing up, we had the opportunity to play around with other neighbors. But now, even though you still live in an estate, everybody minds his own business. Every parent is protective over his child or her child, so they just lock them inside. I'm still guilty of that, because you don't want to hear stories tomorrow. But in my Lagos growing up, that wasn't an issue. We used to walk for miles. I was 5 years old. I would walk, and my parents weren't concerned. They would just say, "Where are you?" And when I come back, it's a beating that I left home and I'm coming home late. But they weren't really concerned that somebody was going to kidnap me, or, you know, that's the big gap for us growing up. And one thing I think is better now is I think we have better roads, wider roads. Yes, I think we have more international. So we have variety of stuff. So there's, when it comes to shopping, you have a lot of stores to pick from. When it comes to, so I think Lagos is a bit more advanced, but the bad one I said is just what I talked about the security. I think it's a serious issue, you know, because it has really declined since we're growing up.
Oh, wow. Lagos is so different from when I was growing up. I mean, living in, for instance, in Victoria Island, being able to ride your bikes anywhere and everywhere. Now it's so busy, it's commercial. I think it's, you know, you can't just send your children out on the streets and say, you know, see you at 6 p.m. So it's quite different. It's a lot more bustling. It's a lot more congested as well. I think something that is better with Lagos is the dynamism. There's so much going on in Lagos. There's so many opportunities for young people, business-wise. You know, so many corporates have come in. You can do, you know, music is so popular now, fashion is so popular now. You know, there's stages, there's runway, Lagos shows. So there's a lot about Lagos that's very exciting right now. Something that was good then was sort of the old traditional ways of doing things. Everything was community-based. Your neighbor looked after your, you know, neighbors looked after neighbors' children. Everybody was like, we're all like one big happy family, really. So I think that's a positive of back then.
A lot more traffic. A lot more traffic. I don't remember the traffic being this bad. Maybe because I never had to drive, obviously, as a child. But yeah, the traffic now is different. But on the good side of things, there's a lot more to do socially. There's so many interests and so many influences from people that have gone away and come back, or people locally that have just developed interest in these different areas. So there's something for everyone. If you want to dance salsa, there's somewhere you can dance salsa, and so on.
Absolutely different. My mother in the 80s was walking from Odunofa and Lagos Island to Ereko safely. I won't ask her to do that now. A car would knock her down. It's quite different. It's quite different. There's no question in my mind. It's different. And you know, even when you look at the infrastructure, the ground, we used to walk from Ikoyi to Lagos Island, or Lagos Island to Ikoyi here. You do not have barriers. You don't have fences around any house. What you had in those days were grasses, where you have demarcation between this house and that house. It was more of grass or fence, not wooden or block or anything. It was just growth, demarcating this from that. And the only other thing you fear are dogs. If you are coming, you just go through this property like that to where you are going. You don't have to go round and round and round. But if they have dogs in that house, you veer away from that. You don't go near that. And most people in Lagos know houses that have dogs, those that do not have. It was a gradual development in Lagos that after the grass went off, you had low edges with barbed wire strung around your property. Then it was block walk that high, and that high, that high, until they got to what we have now. Many, many people will rather walk that distance because they can do a straight journey for distances that we will consider considerable now. They were very short because you are cutting across, not going round and round and round to get to where you want to go. One thing that is better. One thing I know, like I said, people were closer to each other in those days because they grew up together. In my own area now, where I grew up, if I went in there, I am not sure I will even find members of my own family in our own house there. That nobody is staying in the house. Same thing with him and many of the other people that we grew up together in the area. The Fasholas, the Payesh, the Smiths, the Pam Pam. Hardly any of them stay in that area anymore. They're all strangers. The houses have been let out to people. So the children of the area are dispersed to wider areas. They hardly see each other.
It's quite different, no? Lagos now, when you are moving, you have to look at your back. Oh. You run for kidnapper. You run for armed robber. You run for defrauders. When somebody speaks to you, you have to open your eye very well. And you have to take precautionary measures, guideline for your safety in your house too. We have to be locking our doors as if we are in prison because you don't know who could come in. You don't know what can happen any minute. So automatically, precautionary measures have to be taken now before you can just open your house. What they normally do that time, they steal clothes when you put them outside. Ole, ole, ole. Sometimes they are caught. And when they are beaten, you pity them. But going to a house to go and bogu, no. And we have good parties in Lagos that time. It is not the flamboyant one you are doing. You can be all about 5. You are enjoying party. I would say street and transportation is better now because it makes things easier for us. You have Uber, taxi, you have other taxis, you have BRT, you have Danfo. So automatically you have Okada in Interland that will take you to the main road. In those days, we don't have all that. You have to walk to main road. Or somebody carry you. We have a route for human being. They call it konkolorun. They carry you. They take you to a house. If you are tired, or they carry you for back, you pay for it.
As I said before, Lagos is overcrowded, it's filthy, and it's not safe. In my time, it was clean, it was environmentally friendly, and it was safe. Given the efforts that the Lagos state government is making, I have hope that Lagos is going to be a mega city. I have hope that Lagos will be safe. I have hope that Lagos will be clean, because I see the efforts of the Ministry of the Environment. I see the efforts of our governor, Akinwumi Ambode, and I'm beginning to feel that sooner or later we'll get there.
You know, Lagos is much more congested, it's dense, it's in as much as they are trying to organize it, it's intense. Then, yes, it was Lagos, but not as intense. It was still, things functioned a bit better. You know, we had lights, it wasn't as extreme as it is now. You know, we were free as kids to walk up and down without fear of being kidnapped or anything. Because in as much as we say, see, the thing I like about Lagos, and I think if Lagos is going to sell anything about Lagos, it's not about anything other than its energy. its spirit. And I think if you're in Lagos, it's inspiring the way people survive, you know, in such an extreme environment, and also how even government manage to at least keep Lagos going compared to other states and other places. I think we have to give them kudos to how they're managing us and the impact of all of us trying to make it here. You know, in terms of the negatives, maybe we always expect more from government, or that things could be done. You know, we all have high hopes for this place, so that it could be like Tokyo, it could be like, why is it not like, why do we have to go to other places? Lagos should be where everybody should be coming to.
Lagos I grew up in was a lot more quiet. It was a lot friendlier, and people, everybody knew everybody else, so to speak. But the Lagos of today is a lot more diverse. It's more crowded. There's a lot more people. It's not possible to know everybody. So there's a bit of clannishness, if you like, where, you know, people whose parents knew each other when they were growing up, sort of grew up in the same sort of areas. So there's that, and then there's the newbies, the newcomers who've only been in Lagos for the last 20 years or so, who are sort of, you know, looked on as JJCs, so to speak. Johnny just comes, or as you say in English, Johnny come latelys. So the Lagos of today is definitely busier than the Lagos of my childhood. The culture is a lot more dynamic now than it was then. It was static. You know, you only got to listen to juju music or Afrobeat music, and as soon as anybody turned on their jukebox or their record set, you know, the first few notes, you knew exactly what kind of music was going to come out. But these days, you know, music as a reflection of what Lagos is so diverse. I mean, just yesterday, we were at the Muson Center listening to classical renditions of the music of Lagos, symphony orchestra, conducted by a French conductor. And they were playing time-honored pieces like Fela Anikulapo Kuti's Water No Get Enemy. You know, that's what Lagos has evolved into. And there are bars you can go to in Lagos where you just sit down and listen to live jazz music, you know, and contemporary numbers that are played by today's musicians can be, you know, covered in a jazzy style, acoustically. And then at the same time, this is the Lagos of Wizkid. You know, this is the Lagos of Banky W and the Lagos of JJC and the Lagos of the Banj and Don Jazzy and all these other great people. And this is the Lagos from which Asha came. You know, so it's diverse. It's in that sense, it's a lot more improved in the sense of, you know, what you're able to perceive with your ears, what you're able to see with your eyes. In terms of the entertainment industry, you know, we talk about the Nigerian entertainment industry all over the world, but really, it's a Lagos entertainment industry, not truthfully a Nigerian entertainment industry, because the entertainment industry in Nigeria is centered in Lagos. I mean, here at Amen Estate, for instance, just as an example, I think we probably are the most prolific location for movies and TV series and musical videos and all that in the whole of Nigeria. I think there's any other location that has hosted as many of these productions as this small village, Amen Estate. So in that sense, Lagos has improved. The downside is that government hasn't caught up because the infrastructure is really bad. And considering the amount of money that, you know, government is able to gather from the teeming population, it's quite strange, really, that the infrastructure has remained as poor as, well, it's become increasingly poorer because there have been, you know, there's been an influx of people, all of whom are paying some form of tax or the other to the coffers of government, which for whatever reason, refuses to reinvest in infrastructure to accommodate all these people. So in my time as a teenager, yes, there was the legendary Lagos Go Slow, but it was nothing compared to what we're facing these days. I've been in, for instance, a traffic jam, an ongoing traffic jam between here and Agege for 6 hours, about 3 years ago, where somebody boarded a flight as I was leaving the house to go to Agege. And by the time we got to Agege, the person had actually landed in London and called us to say, oh, look, I'm in London, so I'd like to speak with my friend, please. And I said, well, we're not at your friend's place yet. We're still on the way there. And, you know, it was unbelievable, but that was the case. So infrastructure-wise, Lagos hasn't caught up. I would have expected that a city of 4,900 people per square kilometer, sorry, 4,900 people per square kilometer will be doing better than a Singapore that has a population density of 7,500 people per square kilometer and yet manages to get people and goods around with relative ease.
Lagos today is a paradise in comparison to what Lagos used to be. There had been a lot of development, and development is amazing, is coming up one after the other. The governors that have reigned did very well, but this governor have taken it to another height, and there's nothing we can say than to say bravo. You can see my street was just tarred with next facility, even the street light, everything. So, and what we are seeing, Lagos is, like I said, it's like a paradise on earth. Like a paradise on earth, in comparison to what it used to be before. One thing that is special about Lagos today, that is better, is that the development now supersedes what it used to be, and it continues. You guys, like everyday development happening. So that is bridges here, roads, they are different. So that is amazing. See, I will say there are things that the government still need to improve upon. That's it, because all cannot be done in a day. But with the speed that the government is going, kudos to this government.
I'm praying that Lagos should be cleaner, should be rid of crime.
I want a crime-free Lagos, where we can sleep and close our two eyes. A Lagos that will be free of death, clean environment, good health system, where a Lagos that we will have electricity 24 hours, as we used to when in the time of ECN.
In the 50s, the music philosophers, the local traditional musicians, all right, they made series of philosophical songs that they have projected the way we want Ikorodu to be. And they will say, I will just sing 2 or 3 lines of that song pé Ìkòròdú at the headquarter ayé òwúrò aṣojú mi láyé mi dédé ní èmi àkórè wá súlé tọ́nà bá parí lójú mi o máa ra mọ́tò tó méje sọ́nà o. That Ikorodu will turn to a mega city and is growing. That time we have about 4 or 5 taxis in Ikorodu, and you can just walk across from here to the center of Ikorodu. But now the Okada is there. Do you know Etunrere, Erikorodo? Those are the major stream that we get water to drink. The one of Etunrere is coming out from the rock and it's so pure. And I wish this team will visit some of these areas that I'm mentioning. And those are the parts of the tourist center we should develop and see. And that is part of that Ragolis water that you are drinking today, that was made and converted the commercial values that late Chief Rashid Badamosi have converted to a value, and the Ragolis. And I'm so happy that he was able to achieve that. I'm so happy with that one. So although some of us, that if you taste that water, and you have tasted that the Omi Etunrere, you will know, yes, this is the real water from the sieve of the stone that we have.
As I said before, Lagos is a big city, and it's the main city in Nigeria. It's the nucleus of Nigeria from the commercial and industrial point of view, obviously. The future cannot be but great. I know some people, because we are going through these challenges, the recession and so on, people will just give up and get fed up. I know people from our community who did the same thing in the 90s when we had the same type of challenges, and they left the country, and now they are biting their nails why they did that, because in the 2000s, the new millennium, things were going so well here. The same thing with Lagos and with Nigeria. We are going through some challenges, but it's just a time period. Things will definitely change, and will change for the better, and there will be development. And you have Eco Atlantic coming up, and you have a new vision of a new city in place. One thing that people do not take into consideration, and which is a very, very important issue in the social life. Nigeria has one of the biggest percentage in population which are from the age of 17 till the age of 50, which is the productive years in a person. You have some societies that they are getting older. The biggest percentage of their population are old people, and they become a burden, if you want, to the social economy of that city. Nigeria, and specifically Lagos, has a big asset, which is that the majority of the population are productive population. They are not a burden where you have to start wondering about their sickness and their hospitalization and so on. This will play a very, very important role in the next 50 years. And it's not something to take very secondary. No, it's a very important issue. The economy will change. We are going through a tough time because the whole world is going through it. Europe and the US went into they've been suffering with this recession for the last 8 or 10 years. We have just started now, and we didn't have, when they were going through the recession, we were enjoying the economy here. So I believe our recession will take much less than it took Europe or the US to to get out of it. And I think when we do, we will all be smiling. And as I said, a history of a city can, or the personality of a city, you cannot just judge it in a small time period. It's a lifespan of 50 years, many 50 years to come.
Is for Lagos to be such that people can easily compare it with a modern city, a city-state like Dubai, and for Lagos to become cleaner. Lagos is quite clean now compared to before. To rank among the cleanest cities in the world, and we can do it. It can actually happen.
Cleaner. Safer, more decent Lagos.
For me, it's going to be a city everyone living in Nigeria would want to visit. Because of the fast development, because of the hard-working leaders we have in the different positions, in different platforms. Because if you see now what Lagos is today, you will be happy to say I'm from Lagos.
Yes.
And you'll be happy to say I'm from Lagos. If you go out of Nigeria, the first thing a white man will remind you of in Nigeria is going to mention Lagos. So,
Lagos.
I think for me,
Lagos at 50. So Lagos was created in 1967. Now, if you look at it from 1967 to 2017 and ask, am I happy with Lagos in this state, considering what Lagos has? It has a coastline longer than, which are the places? The known Maldives and even Mauritius. And if you go to these countries, you'll be surprised what they have done with their coastline. So in the next 50 years, the coastline should be filled with hotels and infrastructure that will bring people that love that life. It should also have train lines, metro lines, that are taking people from their various places of, where they live to where they work. It should be a first world city, because by that time it will be 100 years. It will be very disappointing. By that time, how old would I be? Would I be like 97 or something? I pray to be that age so I can look at it and say, these people are not serious. It's time to go. Because if we don't get there in 50 years, then I don't think Lagos will get there. But I believe it will.
Oh, well, I think Lagos will be a super hub for business. I'm not sure what it would be like to live in Lagos, but I think it will be something very similar to the experience in, say, New York. Already you can see the skyline is raising every day. We have, I know we say it's a recession, but there's, if you go out there in Lagos, you will see nothing less than 50 skyscrapers currently in construction that started in the last year. So I definitely see Lagos as going in that direction.
Next 50 years, I think Lagos would be an amazing city. I think moving at this pace and direction, Lagos is the commercial capital, probably even in, let me say, beyond West Africa. And at the pace at which we're going, if other things are fixed, like security, for instance, I think that it's headed in the right direction. But I just hope that we still have the same kind of people that have the kind of mindset that they have. I mean, the leaders will continue to rule till in 50 years. But in 50 years, at this pace, I think Lagos State would be compared with cities all around the world.
In the next 50 years could really be a mega city. It's very exciting with so many things coming up now with the railways. They're doing so much with, technology. They're doing so much with transportation, with the roads. So I see Lagos really being, it is already a hub, but I really see it being, a hub for Africa. International flights coming in and going, different people from different countries. Lagos in 50 years is extremely exciting.
In the next 50 years, goodness, constant electricity, less cars on the road, better public transport so that anybody can take public transport to work and it reduces the congestion. More affordable housing, maybe monthly payments for rent, not annual payments for rent.
I wish Lagos will continue to grow in bound, and God will continue to give all those who are ruling it wisdom. For instance, God brought Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu. I always call him Pandit Nehru of Africa. After Fashola came in, they did their best. There's nobody complaining. Somebody have started again. We don't know who is coming. It is only God who knows the next person that will be coming. But I pray that anybody that comes there, God should continue to give them the wisdom of Solomon. God should continue to give them wisdom of Solomon. I've enjoyed Tinubu. I've enjoyed Fashola. And I wish I will enjoy somebody by the grace of God. I've met him only once at Ikene, at Awolowo's place. And we greeted each other. And I said, I wish him good luck. But I wish him good luck. Anybody that is going to rule Lagos, because Lagos is a base, everybody comes. The population is fantastic. It is only God that can give them the wisdom of Solomon to run Lagos. A lot of ethnicity are based in Lagos. You want to see mad cow, it is in Lagos. Anybody, it is Lagos. But I wish God's wisdom will be in those people coming to Lagos. No havoc shall befall Lagos by the grace of God.
For it to be like bigger than Tokyo, all these cities, it should be like a mega serious city where everything functions properly and the pride of the black race.
My hope is that Lagos will become the commercial nerve center of Africa. As New York is to Northern America, as London is to Western Europe, so should Lagos be to Africa. And unfortunately for us, we've not managed to crack that. And it just takes a few concerted steps by those in positions of authority to make that happen. But there clearly has been a deficit of imagination. And that's something that I'm hoping that within the next 5 to 10 years we'll be able to rectify, and we will be able to harness the imaginations, the energy of our people, our young people who are currently below the age of 50, to drive Lagos in the direction that it ought to go. We've already been given signals of where the youth aspire for Lagos to be at. And you can see these aspirations in the movies that they make, in the musical videos that they shoot, even in the advertisements that they conceptualize. You know, I saw an advert once for, I think it was Access Bank, where they visualized the Lagos where there was high-speed trains and driverless cars and all this kind of stuff. So it's only a matter of time before the pressure from the youths drives us in that direction. And I hope that it happens sooner rather than later. I'd really like to be a part of the foundation, you know, the people that actually lay the foundation for that sort of development to happen.